Can we cure a phobia on live TV? Well, we're going to try our very best to find out. Sue Pollard's here with me. We're now joined by a hypnotherapist who specialises in phobias, Christopher Jones. So nice to see you, Christopher.
Thank you for having me.
Later on, we're going to be talking about the greatest British sitcoms of all time. Sue says she couldn't choose. I've had to choose. I know what I've chosen. I'm sticking with it, whatever happens. But first of all, your calls on phobias. How'd you get over them? Do you have one? And if you do, how does it affect your life? 0207 862 2222. That's the number. Do give us a ring. How do you tell the difference, Christopher, between a phobia and something you don't much like, really?
Yeah, I mean, there's the technical definition, which is a fear is something you don't like, but you avoid. A phobia, you have no cognitive gap between the two. So you just see that thing or think about that thing, and instantly you go into fight, flight, or freeze. You react. You want to run away or hide from it.
And in Sue's case,
yeah.
It's spiders, isn't it? Does the word alone make you feel funny?
In a way, it does, because already you're imagining just saying that word, how they scuttle.
Right.
And you've had it, and you don't know where they've hid, and you've gone, oh, they might be in the bed tonight. They might have crept up the bed, and I'm going to get. Oh no, you see, I've gone a bit odd.
And that's ever since you were a little girl and a spider crawled over your hand.
That's it.
Suddenly.
Yeah. When I was outside, and it suddenly went, and I went, oh, and I hated the feel of it because no control.
Yes.
You see,
so
that's
Jennifer
the thing.
Aniston, who obviously inspires us all in all things,
Yeah.
says that hypnotherapy has helped her with a phobia of flying, which was really interfering with her life enormously, ability to do jobs and all sorts. What if you were going to apply hypnotherapy in the same way to Sue for the spider phobia, arachnophobia?
Yeah.
What would you do? How does it work?
Well, there's many different ways of changing a pattern. So if you know of Pavlov's dog conditioning, so you ring a bell, you feed a dog, you ring a bell, feed a dog, eventually the dog salivates like it's about to be fed. Human beings are doing that with phobias. So at some point in your past, your brain has gone, this thing that isn't scary or isn't dangerous, I've associated to danger. And then you go into fight, flight, or freeze. You want to run away or fight it or whatever. So the key is to change that conditioning, change that pattern where you're linking pain and pleasure to it. So given more time, we could go in deep. But one of the things you can do very quickly is, if you've ever watched Harry Potter or read the books, is what's called the ridiculous spell, which is where you change the imagery. So when you think about a spider, do you have a strong image in your mind?
Yes.
Right. Think about that image just very briefly. Okay. Now make it very small, make it black and white, and push it into the ground and tower above it. Okay, can you do that? Are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
Right,
I'm definitely,
right. Make it very small. Make it very small. Push it off into the distance. And now, as you think about that spider, right off over there, tiny dot.
Yeah.
Imagine Benny Hill music's playing, and it's smoking a little cigar, having a little dance.
Blimey, that's a big ask. Things going.
Okay, so imagine it slowed right down. Imagine it in slow motion as a tiny dot. Can you do that?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Now add the funniest joke you ever heard playing in your head.
Right. Got
that. Say it though.
No, I won't.
If it's not,
No.
Now, as you think about spiders, think about your best kiss.
Best kiss?
Oh, yes.
Okay,
yes.
think about your best kiss and imagine that tiny spider. So when you change that conditioning, when you change the imagery you're making and the sounds you're making in your mind, you change what you link pain and pleasure to. So that's the simple version of it.
And you can do that just by thinking that once?
Yes. Well, there's ways of conditioning that so it becomes hardwired, what's called anchoring, where you basically do something unique at the peak and it becomes hardwired to feel good. So you can think about your best kiss or other positive associations. Wow. So it's like the old adage with public speaking, you know, imagine everyone in their underwear. It's the same. You play with the imagery, you change how you feel.
And also then you don't allow your phobia to get the better of you, because it ruins your day-to-day life.
Yes. You were once just stuck in the house because you had seen a spider scuttle and you wouldn't dare walk past.
Oh yes, I won't walk past it. I opened the bathroom door and it was there in the middle of the door, and I was like, oh no, please.
So what is it that spiders mean to you? When you think about a spider, what are you making it mean?
Now that's interesting, because I don't know. I think it's just because the whole idea of what it does, and it just scuttles away.
It's the word scuttles.
Yes, and you don't know where it's gone.
It's that horrible little movement where you're not sure where it's going, into the shadows. That's what she doesn't like, I think.
Yes, I think you're right. So therefore, if I were to be deeply psychological, for example...
Which I guess is what we're doing right now,
It is in a way, isn't it? That means that it's something that represents something that you might not want to do. So hence that spider was there, and it's not like I've got to overcome that. So
Yes.
I don't know, that's just a theory off the top of my head.
And without turning this into a session, how are you when you're out of control generally? How comfortable are you with the unknown?
Well, I'm not too bad, actually, because it's not got an image. That thing is
with the image,
there.
yeah.
It's real, you see.
Yeah.
Anything else, I haven't said felt something. Yeah, how would I feel? Because it's a new experience. But with that, it's manifested as a creature.
Yes.
Let's take a call, because joining us now is Robin. And Robin was stranded in California in 2015 because his fear of flying was so intense. But thankfully, after having a few sessions with Christopher, obviously you recognise him, you know him, he overcame the fear, which is pretty amazing. Hello, Robin. Good to have you on. And
Hi,
I believe
Vanessa. Hi.
the last 4 years, the world's your oyster. You've been all over the place flying.
Well, the last 10 years I've been traveling over 500,000 miles.
Amazing.
And that's 322 flights, 60 countries. So I've got a bit of a carbon footprint to offset, I guess.
Well, from your perspective as the patient rather than the hypnotist, what happened to you, do you think, that changed your mindset or the way you felt about the phobia?
Yeah, so there was various what I would call anchor memories that I had.
Yeah.
But one that I said to Chris, this memory's coming up, but it's not that important. He said, jump into that memory. So I went into it, and it was a really strong memory. And Chris helped me go into that in a safe way and scramble what he calls the emotional content of the memory, doing the stuff like playing it forwards, playing it backwards, double, triple speed, change the colours to the Simpsons colours, Benny Hill theme tune, just stuff to make it not as scary as it once was.
Yeah.
And from that, really, the phobia melted away.
Absolutely extraordinary. How long did it take?
6 sessions, 7 sessions,
Wow.
all through Skype at the time.
And Christopher, how typical is Robin to have responded so incredibly to what you did?
Well, sometimes it's one session. I mean, it can be very quick. When you find the triggers, it can be like if there's one trigger and you change it, it can completely transform someone's life. So it depends on how many layers there are.
What about how Robin didn't think that memory was a particularly big deal, but you did? What was it that you thought was important about it? You went, let's dig into that one.
I mean, if when you're doing the work, something comes up, it's normally relevant. So when people say to me, oh, this thing happened when I was 6 years old, but I don't think it's important, I'll go, well, tell me about what you got for your 6th birthday. They'll go, well, I don't know. Well, tell me about your 6th... For someone to remember that far back, it normally has some emotional charge. It might not be the linchpin, but it will certainly be significant.
So this is Sue and being a child and
Yes,
the spider crawling.
5.
She was 5.
5.
Ridiculous.
And the fact that can you remember much else from when you were 5?
Oh, yes, I had my first kiss with the boy 2 doors up. That was fabulous.
Oh, well, that was
I
an
should have thought
insignificant
about
emotional
what you
event
said
too.
about the first, think about your best kiss. I should have thought about that then.
I'd rather talk about my first kiss or my best kiss any day of the week.
Yeah.
Let's go to Annette. She's on the line in Hertfordshire. Oh, she's got a really big phobia. This could really interfere with your life. Annette, thanks so much for calling. So the phobia is driving on motorways.
Yes, it is. It's affected me for many years now. I'm a good driver and I can drive absolutely anywhere, but put me on a motorway or a dual carriageway, unless I've got somebody with me, I just can't do it, and it's really affected my life.
That is a big deal, because obviously that means you've got to go the long and winding road to absolutely everywhere, or don't go at all. So Christopher, what could you say to Annette?
Well, a similar question, really, which is, well, when did this first start for you?
When I had my last child, who is now 32 years old, I returned to work after having had her, and I had like a bit of a panic attack on the motorway going back to work. And I avoided it coming home, and it's just got worse and worse slowly over the years.
Yeah, well, that comes into what you call fear of the fear, which is if you've had a panic attack or a bad experience, it's no longer about driving or anything else. It's about a fear of your own emotions. Yeah. So if you fear that you're going to freak out and crash the car, or that you're going to be embarrassed and humiliate yourself, that is what you're doing. So it's finding those beliefs and changing those patterns. And it's a similar process, but yeah, it's looking at what's behind that. And very often that's a control issue.
Have you considered hypnosis, Annette? Have you thought of getting some kind of treatment for what's going on with you?
I've thought about it, but I have been a bit scared about hypnosis. I don't know. I've never had anything like that, but
That's
maybe
a very
it's an option.
good point you raise, and actually I should have raised it myself, and thank you so much. People are scared of hypnosis.
Well, I think people confuse clinical hypnotherapy with stage hypnosis. So they go, you're going to brainwash me. You're going to make me think I'm a chicken. No, all we're doing is relaxing the analytical mind so the emotional mind can communicate, so you can work with that, because emotions aren't logical. You didn't create this fear logically. You didn't go, oh, you know what would be great is if I had a fear. So by relaxing that analytical mind, so whether you call that hypnosis or mindfulness or guided imagery, but for some reason, hypnotherapy has this almost magical quality that's both scary for people that have a control issue and also can be disempowering for some people because they go, no, I want to be in control.
You might be made to eat an apple, an onion as if it's an apple or something. And people don't like the idea of being put outside their consciousness and made to do something weird. But that's not what would happen if you went with a phobia at all, is it?
It's having real control rather than the illusion of control that comes from just living in your
Let's go to Anne in London. She's got something in common with Sue Pollard, and that is a phobia of spiders. And how badly does it affect you?
Terribly, terribly. I mean, it's affected me so much that I wanted to move back to Ireland, but I know the insect life over there is rife and I can't go. I can't even stay in a room if I think there's one of those things in the room, and I just shake uncontrollably. I understand what the guy says. I'm bigger than them. I've gone through everything. I'm just terrified.
Can you put it down to a particular memory or an incident? Is there anything you can think of that was the reason?
Yes. Yeah, my sister was terrified. She passed it to me, and I'm afraid I've passed it to all of my family.
Oh. Do you think Anne is such an extreme case that it would be difficult to work with her, or do you think she would respond just like everybody else?
Yeah, it's not necessarily the severity, it's how specific the fear is. So if it's one time versus a prolonged period of time is going to make the big difference. But yes, her point, you can often learn it from watching your parents, especially if you're very young. If your parents suddenly tense, especially, you as a child, you go, oh, what is the danger? Oh, it must be that thing. And your brain starts associating danger to these things.
Yes.
And again, none of this is logical or rational. And trying to solve it logically often just gets you more and more frustrated.
But imagine wanting to relocate to Ireland, loving Ireland,
yes,
and not being able to even set foot in the country because you think it's rife with insects. And I'm in Ireland all the time. It's my literal second home, and I love it. And I mean, there are some very beautiful butterflies that you don't see, in parts of England. But I wouldn't say it's rife with insects. It's not the way I have ever seen it. Anne?
Well, this is the thing. When you have a fear, you see it everywhere. So someone with a phobia of spiders, you might see a black dot or a fly in the corner, and someone who doesn't have a fear doesn't notice it. In the same way that, with all these things, someone who has a fear of dogs will, look, oh, I passed 4 dogs today. Someone without a feer of dogs won't even notice. How many dogs you passed?
Exactly.
Don't know. None.
Exactly.
Maybe.
I haven't noticed insects at all. It's really very deep, this subject. I really would be so grateful if you come back and talk about this again with us.
Absolutely. I'd love
also
to.
to always hypnotise me to stop eating chocolate would be magnificent. If you just could incidentally do that on the way in, that would also be good. Christopher, thank you so much. And thank you to Robin, and also for all your calls on that. Really good.